Greetings, people. This is Thunder. I thought I'd talk about having a spiritual routine today, or a routine that is beneficial to you on a spiritual and physical level. It's a very important thing, I think, to realize that sometimes we get caught up in the vicissitudes of life and in everyday bullshit of life, and we don't really pay attention to things like being in balance, having a spiritual outlook on life. And I think one of the things that will really help people is if they get a spiritual routine. And by routine, I don't mean you got to do the same thing every day exactly. What I mean is that you have a series of things you do, but not necessarily in the same order every day. Because if you start doing things in the same order every day, then you get bored. Or maybe it becomes a chore, or, oh man, do I have to get up and meditate, or do I have to get up and do this, or do I have to get up and do that? So the way that you get around that is by making a little effort, but breaking it up. In other words, not doing it in the same order every day, or always making it refreshing. Okay, and by refreshing, I mean fun. So, take for instance, this is what I do when I wake up in the morning. It's silent. I'm in bed. I look at the ceiling, and I breathe. I start breathing consciously, and then that goes to back to unconsciously breathing. By breathing, I mean things that I've taught in the past about breathing into your abdomen. I've done videos on this. Breathing into your abdomen, placing the tongue on the roof of your mouth so that circuit is completed between the ren and the do channels. Using a mantra if you want, a mantra of your choice. A mantra is really there to help you watch the breath. And pretty soon you should get to that point where you're watching your breath breathe you instead of you trying to breathe. The next thing I do is when I get up, I might, and I vary things, I might take a shower, I might not take a shower, I might just take a sponge bath. I play around with things, and do different things to make life interesting. But eventually I will get to the point where I go out into the living room and I do some stretching. Recently I've added the yoga asanas to my routine, my daily routine. I always used to do them, but I let go of them for a while. Because you get caught up in life, and you get caught up in maybe doing something else like Tai Chi and some forms of the martial arts or that type of thing, and you don't realize that maybe you're neglecting another area. Now, the yoga asanas, which are positions that you get into and stretch, and there's all kinds of them. I kind of go through a little routine, and they're actually very enjoyable. It's like stretching. It's like how good it feels when you stretch or yawn or that type of thing. You're awakening the chi in your muscles, and you're breathing. Now, when I talked about breathing, you keep the breathing going like you did when you first woke up. You keep that circular breathing. You want to try to get into a circular breathing pattern where the end of your breath is hardly noticeable and the beginning of your breath is hardly noticeable. So it's just a continuous circular breathing into the abdomen. Now, when you breathe, you have to realize that you're activating prana. If you've done any kind of meditation for a long period of time, say like a meditation like Kriya, or circulation of the microcosmic orbit, if you've done any of these kind of meditations for any period of time, or have delved into them, or Kundalini yoga, you realize that the way you activate the chi, or the prana, or the, I guess it could be called prana too, that would be the Hindu term. The way you activate it is through pranayama, which just means breathing the chi, breathing the energy. So the movement of the lungs and the breathing into the abdomen, which is just dropping your diaphragm, not really expanding your lungs, but dropping your diaphragm so that your lungs fill up, is an excellent practice. And when you couple that with the yoga postures, the asana postures, and there's a lot of simple ones that you can use. When you couple that breathing, when you keep that breathing, that meditation, chi moving, energy moving breathing going, and sucking that chi in through the medulla, which is in the back of the neck, right underneath the skull, and opening that pineal gland, which is the third eye, through this breathing process, and activating the kundalini from the base chakra between the legs. You keep breathing like this, my point is, until you, or as you go through the asanas and get into the different positions. One of them being the cobra, which is just laying on your stomach and coming up on your arms like you're doing a push-up, only you're not doing a push-up. You're just bending back your head and upper torso while your lower torso remains flat against the ground, like a snake. That's one easy posture. You might want to look into several postures that are easy. There's the cat, the cow, the candle, and a lot of different ones that you can use. So as I go through the breathing in the morning and the yoga postures, which is stretching basically, every move should feel like a stretch, and it should feel really exalting and invigorating to breathe while you're stretching. Basically what you're doing is you're awakening your spirit self, and you are also awakening the physical self. So yoga means union. And union is with the creative force of the universe, which is made up of this chi, or prana, or energy that is running through the universe. So this is kind of how you want to think, okay? Now when I get done with the yoga, I get up and I maybe get into my outdoor clothes. You want to be in some kind of comfortable clothing when you're doing the yoga, something that is not binding or restricting. And I just generally get up and put on my long underwear. I've been wearing long underwear lately because it's been so freaking cold. That feels good. But then I get up and pull on my Levi's and shirt and put on my jacket and moccasins and go outside and go on a little trek, go on a walk. And as I go on my walk, I incorporate other spiritual practices that I have done videos on. I incorporate an Apache tracking technique called splatter vision. where you see out of the periphery of your eyes out here on the side while you're doing kind of a soft gaze straight ahead towards the mountains or whatever scenery might be out there. So that's one modality that I incorporate as I'm walking, is a old Apache tracking technique. And when you do that, you just kind of feel like you're floating, and the scenery's going by, and you're kind of like in a fisheye type feeling. And then if you really want to get into a floating type out of body feeling as you're walking, and be excessively aware on all kinds of levels of everything around you, then you will go into fox walking. And that is placing your heel down first and rolling on the outside of your foot into the balls of your feet behind the toes in a bent knee fashion, almost like a fox would walk or a cat would walk, very softly, not clumping along and causing some kind of trauma as you walk, a jolting of your skeletal structure. No, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is have fun while you're walking, and also be accomplishing some type of consciousness raising or a shifting of consciousness. So that's what I do when I'm walking. And I also get into, or try to remain into, that concept of taking deep breaths, keeping the tongue on the roof of my mouth, which again completes that circuit between the do channel, which is in the back of your body, and the ren channel, and creating a circular energy type movement with this breath. And then when you combine all these things, like the fox walking and the splatter vision and the breathing, and as a precursor, the yoga before you go on the walk, well, now you're in a state where you're very much in bliss, okay, or on your way to it, bliss and relaxation. Now, when I get back, I might do a few chores or go on the computer like I'm doing right now because I just got back. Excuse me. And so then from that point on, you would incorporate other things, your chores for the day, your housework, and then taking little breaks along the way to do something like maybe some Tai Chi movement, doing a Tai Chi form, some routine in that regard. But the point here is that you're open to do anything after that. Now, you can get up and not do the yoga in the morning and just go on the walk and do the yoga when you get back. Also, another nice thing is to not eat until you get back, because then you kind of work up an appetite and food tastes a lot better. You work up a thirst, so water tastes pretty goddamn good. And also, all this stuff kind of clears your head and gets you ready for the day, thinking about other things you might want to do. I might want to go out and ride my Harley down to the store, or just on a little trip around the valley here. I might want to, again, make breakfast. I might want to just go outside on the back deck and bask in the sun for a while. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm talking about with doing a spiritual routine, a spiritual physical routine, uniting your spirit self, okay, and raising your spirits from the very time that you open your eyes in the morning, getting you in the right groove, in the right track, in the right frame of mind. So yeah, I just thought I would comment on a routine that I go through. And a lot of people think, well, they might think, well, wow, that sounds really hard, or you got to do all these things, or no, it actually, when you get up in the morning and start with your breathing, and then graduate to the yoga and graduate to the walking, it's all a pleasant thing. It's all something that feels good. It doesn't have to be a chore. All of that stuff is good. Like when you're walking outside, you're in tune with nature. You are one with nature. You are one with the mountains, the gone spirits of the mountains, the flying creatures, the four-leggeds, and there's all kinds out here in the desert. There's all kinds of movement with animals and nature, that type of thing. And as I walk around this area, I go past several ranches. They have horses. It's just a fun thing. Okay, and you can talk to the horses. You can go like that, and boy, do their ears come up right away. One thing I noticed today I found was kind of interesting as I walk by some of these ranches is that horses, as a general rule, I think I'm beginning to firmly believe, and I've heard this before, even in westerns that I read, okay, about how sensitive and how almost psychic a horse is. Because I'll tell you, when I'm walking out here around the area, making my way back up the mountain to my ranch here, I notice that the horses, man, those ears come up and those heads come up, I mean, way, way before I get there. And the dogs on the ranch or whatever don't even hear me, aren't even aware that I'm there until long after the horse lifts his ears up and snorts or whatever. So yeah, horses are pretty amazing. I love horses. I've always in my family we had a horse when I was younger. Don't have one now, but the neighbors have some. So it's a delight for me. They get to feed them and take care of them, and I get to walk by and talk to them. Hey, you can't do better than that. I might even go over there and ask to ride them. But I always got my iron horse out here, the Harley, so I'm not really concerned about riding. I can ride. I can go out and take a little ride around the area and enjoy the fresh air on my bike too. So anyway, I just thought I'd do a spiritual video. I did. Like I said, I'm mixing it up here. So I'll be doing a little bit of both. I'll be doing current affairs, shift into that mode sometimes. Probably be doing those less though, because it's just entirely a bunch of bullshit. Really, most of the stuff going on in the world is taking you out of this frame of mind that I'm in right now and putting you in the frame of mind of maybe a little bit of fear or paranoia or anger or something like that. Much better to bypass all that bullshit if you can. I might glance at things through the day now that I've And that's another thing too. When you get into this frame of mind, you get into a higher level of consciousness, and then when you tend to look at the bullshit that's going on, the mundane, then you really see it for what it is if you're coming from a high level of consciousness. So anyway, I just thought I'd do the video on this stuff, and I hope that it helps somebody to like get you in that frame of mind to where you get into a little routine and you break it up, and you don't make it a chore, you make it fun. That's all for now. Over and out.